Hey YouTube, Chris Battle here again. Wanted to get another video out on what has been my favorite PC gaming handheld, the ROG Ally X. I also own a Steam Deck OLED, so those are kind of where my history is with these gaming handhelds. But I think I would like to highlight two areas where I'd like to see improvement moving forward, and what I would consider my personal two biggest flaws with this particular device, the ROG Asus Ally X. So the two major things I see are actually probably multifaceted. The first one that's frustrating is controls. And when I say controls, there's a number of issues there. So first, coming from a Steam Deck OLED, here's my Steam Deck OLED, there is rarely an issue that I really have with controls. And I'm somebody that's doing emulation on retro gaming handheld stuff. So if I open ESDE, which is for those who don't know, Emulation Station Desktop Edition, which is the main front end I use to run retro games. So if I use that on my Steam Deck, there's really not a problem there. I can use it flawlessly. Now, when I try to use this on my ROG Ally X, it's very hit or miss. We'll see, actually. I'm going to open Armory Crate and see if it happens. I booted this up for the first time today. Let's see here. Let's see if I can get it on camera exactly what I'm talking about here. Okay. It's not doing it now. But there will be times in which I'll boot on this device where I'm getting double inputs. Now, that's something that's known. If you go on Reddit, you'll find folks with double inputs. And the supposed fix for this is turning off Steam input. Now, that may not be a problem for some people, but the problem I have is if I turn off Steam input for controllers, yes, it will fix the double moves for me. But when I go into a Steam game like Far Cry 5, I won't have any controls. So I wouldn't consider that to really be a fix. And the double input affects other things too. So, for example, if I open Emulation Station, I'll get double inputs on everything. And it even is to the point where you can't press the start button, which is a big issue if you're in Emulation Station, because the start button's how you get to all the various configurations. You want to use the scraper, you want to do anything, the start button's essential. Even quitting ESDE without using, I've got a quick shortcut here in task. That'll, for the most part, work for a lot of things, but it just doesn't work properly. So that's the frustrating things. Controls on this just aren't as good as on my Steam Deck. That's something I'd like to see improve. I'm really not sure how much it can improve, just for the simple fact that this is Windows. So there's always things that go wrong with that. Another part of the controls that has been particularly frustrating for me is, let's say I'm playing a game like, I tend to like playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Let's say I want to play Breakpoint. Here's how I hold the controller. When I go to do this, my thumb is already pretty much touching the screen as soon as I kind of move this like this. That's really not that much movement. And I'm using both controls a lot of times, so I'll find myself hitting the touchscreen. And now, depending on what game you're in, with Ghost Recon, I'm just shooting at that point. I've shot a random shot. Hopefully I wasn't sneaking up on somebody. So there's something going on here where there's just like this short amount of travel here before I'm touching the screen, which I find odd. I thought it might have been due to the way the sticks were laid out, but I bet you it doesn't have anything to do with that. For example, here's my Steam Deck. A little bit bigger, sorry. When I'm pushing all the way in, I'm not really close to touching the screen. I never have a problem where I touch the screen. Now, I'm not sure what that is. Is the stick just longer? I have no clue. I'm sure somebody knows. But that's become an annoying issue for me. I can do this all day on my Steam Deck, and I'm not touching the touchscreen. When I try that with this ROG Ally X, I'm immediately touching the screen. So that's become a frustrating issue for me. And I don't know what to really attribute that to. I don't know. Maybe just the thickness of the devices. As you can see, the top is much thicker looking. I don't know. It's become very frustrating. Let's just put it that way. I'd love to play Ghost Recon Breakpoint, but I'd have to essentially change the way that I'm using the controls and maybe go from like the outside edge of the sticks as opposed to on top, just because it's a very hard thing for me to adjust at this time. So that's one of the annoying things. I mean, I'm sure there's probably some other control issues. It's just hit or miss. Because sometimes what I'll do, and that's another fix people say, just restart your Ally X, and yeah, that does tend to fix it. But that fixes it until the next time. Another issue I just seem to have is the fact that Windows is just not as optimized as it could be for gaming leads to various issues. The last one I actually did catch and was able to take a screenshot of. See if you can see that. I turned this device off one day, went to go play it the next day, and this is what my screen looked like. I don't know if you can see that, but the colors look like they're inverted. There should be another picture. Oh, right here. So that's the desktop when I had just the ROG Ally logo on it. Now, I am a person who's going to figure that out. I figured it out. The fix wasn't too crazy, but it's just annoying. Your average person should just be able to pick up a device and not deal with that issue. They shouldn't have to go to Reddit, put in the key search term, figure out what's going on with that. Somebody had the exact same issue, and then walk through it. It ended up being something where Windows tries by default to do some auto color management matching, and it just got out of place. But it's also weird that there must have just been an update overnight, maybe, that caused that. So the next day I go in, and I'm like, wow, what is this? So that's just one of those things. I find that I don't have that issue with my Steam Deck, and that's even with me on beta version of Steam OS most of the time. Now, I have had various issues with the Steam Deck that are annoying, but those are mostly related to peripherals. I had one issue where my Steam Deck dock, the official one from Valve, would not display any type of actual video on my LG OLED that lives in my living room. There was like a very specific issue with LG OLEDs particularly that didn't allow that to work. And that was an issue for about a month. Then they threw a software update out that just worked. I was able to update my dock, which also was an issue I had. The dock wasn't updating like it should, and it's very hard to actually force an update to the dock for some reason. That's the issue I had with the Steam Deck. But these things that are like specific with the UI of what's built in on the handheld are just not an issue. So I need some polishing to be done. Because Armory Crate, I've heard, is better than I want to say Legion Space is what the Legion Go is called, but it's just not it to me. To me personally, it's not it. I do like this interface, and it looks pretty good. Like I can scroll through all my games. I love being able to scroll through all my games in one place, which is nice. And then the things that you can do with the views and things of that nature, that's really cool. I like that you can tell kind of which system they're on. So I got my Tomb Raider through Galaxy or GOG library. Then I've got most of my library Steam games. But yeah, you can see this is from Game Pass on PC. This is from the Epic Game Store. This is a ROM hack for Pokemon. So you can really kind of just see some cool stuff, and I've taken the game titles off of these, that's why you can't see them. And I love the way that you're able to customize the library. So if I want to bring back game titles, it will also show you right here where everything's at. But yeah, those are two major issues. I think the control scheme itself it doesn't always work. It should just be easy to work. Like for instance, I wanted to play the it's if you look at the new remaster for Until Dawn, which is just a ridiculous thing anyway. It didn't really need a remaster. I went to go play that the other day, and they recommend you use your DualSense. So I pull out my DualSense. It's like the cosmic purple one. I pull that out, and I go to play with it, and it works. It works pretty well. But like by default, the color on the like LED bar is just white. On my Steam Deck, I was able to customize that, which is a nice little touch. Nothing major there, but yeah. So there's some issues. The controls are just a bit odd. Oh, here's another thing. So let's talk about button sounds. You see? Okay. This is the Steam Deck. That's what it sounds like. Now, oh, yeah. Hold on. Yeah. See, Now, just because I want to end the task, I'm gonna have to wait for this to come up. But basically, it's just so much louder. Which, I mean, for some people, they might like it loud. Try to get up to the mic. I don't know if the buttons are just lengthier. Something about it's odd. And then here's the Steam Deck button sound. I like my button sounds a little more muted, I guess, is what I would say. And I think that ends up working out. So that's another thing. There's just some quirks, I think. The button sounds are pretty loud. Like, say you're in bed for whatever reason with your significant other, and you're mashing, you're mashing some buttons. This is gonna sound. This is ROG Ally X button presses. Steam Deck OLED button presses. It's just the touch of things. It's a little different, and maybe somebody prefers really loud buttons. That's not me personally. I do love this little LED stuff on the sticks. It might be coming in a little bit. Hopefully, there's no lens flare. I'm using an iPhone, an older one, a 13 Pro Max, so lens flare tends to be an issue. Hopefully, you're not getting too much of that. But yeah, I don't know. Something about it. Even these controls right here on the Steam Deck, they just feel more fluid. And like I said, I don't have the issue where my thumbs are just crashing into the touchscreen. But yeah, so those are the two biggest things for me. Now, this is still an excellent device. I love it. Like I said, the Steam Deck has taken a backseat for sure to this. This is just incredible. Even with the issues I just laid out, I'm someone who loves to go in and figure that stuff out. But this is another reason why I couldn't recommend this to the average consumer. They shouldn't have to go on Reddit. They shouldn't have things that are working one day, then they get up in the morning and their whole screen is wonky. Like, these are things that they shouldn't have to deal with. So yeah, tighten up, Jesus. This is an incredible device. The performance is incredible. You just gotta, it's the little things. It's the small things that separate perfection from this is a great product for those who have patience. So let me know if you guys want to see something specific. I'm going to continue to do content on these PC handhelds and comparisons. And yeah, this device is excellent, like I said, but there are some flaws, as there always is with every device, and just want to make sure you understand what the flaws with this one are. So appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed already, stay tuned. I've got plenty more content coming up. And if you'd like to shape content that appears on this channel, throw in some comments of what you want to see next. Thank you.